I see this happening all over the earth, all over the world. Women get with men, and before checking them out, before testing them, before finding out how they think, rather than checking whether or not they are equipped and qualified to be a husband, the women get with them and give them their bodies.
Welcome back to Marriage Matters. Thank you for joining with us so far. We have another good one for you today as we are following up with our discussion on the practicality of preparation, specifically for the female. And if you've been following, of course, you see from time to time we do jump into the area of men very, very briefly sometimes because the discussion calls for it, just for the relevance and for the application. But we're going to continue today with this practicality of preparation. And I do, for me, listen, I think today's one is very, very good because I do think we're going to be talking about the importance of saving sex for marriage until there's that commitment. And so, Mr. Arthurs, I'm going to ask you to get right into it with some of what you have when it comes to this era, because especially in this generation and time where, dare I say that it appears that we have a very hypersexual generation.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing before I pass it over to you. I don't want us to misunderstand, and I want us to understand rather that sex is a gift from the manufacturer.
Yeah.
It's a gift to be celebrated and to be embraced within the context of a sacred relationship. So yeah, Mr. Arthurs, go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. This topic is a topic that is very dear to my heart, and so we agreed to let this one have its own time. And I can't think of a better way to start it than to say that the manufacturer it's a gift that has been given to us, and it has a purpose.
Yes.
That purpose is to procreate. And what the manufacturer has done so intelligently is that he has put some pleasure in it. And maybe I shouldn't say some, he has put a lot of pleasure in it.
A lot of pleasure, sir.
and so as human beings, we tend to want to go overboard and out of context. But it is because it is so good. And so we want to keep that in the back of our minds as to give respect to the fact that it's for the specific purpose of procreation. And that's the main one. And the second to that, it brings intimacy.
Yes.
It brings one closer. That's you become one flesh. And third is pleasure. So this is the problem. This is where this is why it's so special to my heart. I look at many times where ladies see a man, they like the man, they kiss. It might be in a bar, it might be at a dance. They kiss, and before you know it, she's upstairs in his hotel room or vice versa, and they're sleeping together. It's as if your body is of very little value. And so many times we believe that this action is it's capable of keeping a marriage together or keeping a relationship together. And we end up finding that that is not the case. And so I want to encourage women. One of the ways you prepare for marriage and prepare on choosing the right man for you is to deny that man sex. You want to deny that man sex. I go as far as saying this. I enjoy watching shows that are on marriages and dating and relationships. And there's this show, something like Ultimate or Ultimatum or something. And this show actually magnifies what I want to say here.
Okay.
We have women and men that have been dating 5 years, 2 years, 7 years, coming together, and one of the party, one person in the relationship decides, you know what? I have had enough. Either you marry me or we leave here separate. So they go on this show. And when they go on this show, they show to let them test to see how much they love each other. Or if there's somebody else that they might like more, they pair them up with people that, you know, maybe they have done studies and know that they will be compatible with each other. They pair them up with other couples and they let them date the other couples. You know, like the males will date the other females and the other females will date the other males apart from their partner. And after a week or so, you choose somebody. And that person that you choose, you're basically married to them. And at the end of that experience, maybe 3 weeks, I don't know. I'm not sure of it. But at the end of that experience, you will probably have fallen more in love with your spouse, or you might realize, hey, there's somebody out there that I might, you know, be more compatible with. This is why I like this show, for this specific reason. You are dating for 7 years, for 5 years, for 2 years. And I look and I notice that for the most part, the people who are unhinged are the women. And when I say unhinged, I mean they are crying, they're emotional, they are hurt, they are upset, especially when it's the lady giving the ultimatum. But there's a huge problem because you look at the male and they're calm. They're like, let's go through the process. You brought me here. Let's see, let's go through the process. Let's allow it to work. That's why we came here. And you see these men so calm, so put together, while the ladies, they're crying and they're falling apart. But you see, there's one thing that we're missing. And there's one big thing that is being left out. See, they have been dating for 2, 3 years, 7 years, 5 years, and the man is not interested in marrying them. And we ask the question, why? Well, let me tell you, the manufacturer has an answer for that. When he made us, he told us, do not have intercourse, do not sleep with your man until he has put a ring on it and said, I do to you.
Right.
Now you may not believe in marriage. So maybe you won't get married. But there's a principle of commitment where you don't sleep with this person the first night. Because the greatest need of a man is sex. And so when you sleep with him, the first year passed, the second year, there's no need for him to marry you, mommy. I'm sorry, he's getting everything. He can be calm and contented because his biggest need is being met. He's getting sex. You see? And so I see this happening all over the earth, all over the world. Women get with men, and before checking them out, before testing them, before finding out how they think, whether or not they're, if for lack of a better word, I won't use that, but I was going to say compatible, but I won't say. Rather than checking whether or not they are equipped and qualified to be a husband, the women get with them and give them their bodies, the man's greatest need. So this is the problem. Maybe you have not experienced this before, but I'll still ask you the question. And when I say you, I'm talking my our viewers, no? Have you ever paid somebody for a job before they did it? The bigger the job is, the bigger the risk is. And so you would not give somebody $1 million to build something for you before they even did the job. You pay them piece by piece. And as
It's
they
very
do the
risky
job, you
when you do
continue
that.
paying. It is very risky. It doesn't make sense because the motivation to work is that you're going to get paid. If you get paid, it is left up to you having morals. It is left up to you being an honest person, a disciplined person, a dedicated person. And so you would not take all your money and put it in the hands of the contractor. And if you would do that, then it just simply means that you're unaware of the risk you are taking. But this is exactly what happens when women give their bodies to men. Because you are fulfilling his greatest need. He has no need to prove anything to you again. He's good, he's straight. And so that is the message I would like to give to you. The manufacturer knows why. He says, leave fathering, leave sex and intimacy until after marriage. He says, marry first, then sex, which means you're going to be a husband first. Your man should become a husband first before becoming a father of your children. Because that's the only way you can become a father if you have sex, and if you're not having sex until after marriage, according to the manufacturer, then that means that you are getting with a man first as a husband. Then comes children. You see? No, in the world today, it is not so. I see a thought coming on.
I have a question actually. Well, a thought that leads to the question is, you know, in this time, where, like I said earlier, it's a very hypersexual generation. And you know, oftentimes a woman is pressured to feel that her worth is in her body alone. That's something that the mainstream perpetuates so much. Movies, you know, it pushes this idea that a woman's worth is in her outward image and her body, and of course the sex that she can give. So my question is, how would you advise a woman? How can a woman know that a man truly knows her worth beyond her body? Like, what can she look for? Because, you know, as men, we can be sly, and we know how to hold out and to appear as if though we do see your worth. And then when we cash in, we're gone, right? Some guys will wait. Some guys will wait a year or more because they just, right? But after they still get sex, it's they're out. So what kind of woman, how can she know that this man truly sees her worth, or values her beyond her body and sex that she can give to him? How would you advise?
That's a very good question. How can you know that the man sees your worth? I would like to say this first off, and we've probably mentioned this before. But if that man is deciding between you and somebody else, that man does not value you.
Wow.
If you have to prove yourself to that man, he doesn't value you. That doesn't mean you are not valuable. That doesn't mean you are not expensive like price rubies. We all women are, all men are. But if he's choosing between you and somebody else, let him go and choose. You see? And so that is the first sign that you would know. If that man goes and cheat on you, while this man should be dating you, then he has very little value for you. You see? Because if he values you, then there will be certain choices that he makes. One marriage that is working awesome. If you talk to the husband, he's going to tell you that his wife is his best friend. And he doesn't want to do anything to damage that friendship. And there goes a value again. But I would want to be a little bit, for lack of a better word, mischievous with that question and answer it a different way.
Okay.
In saying that someone might understand your value, but that doesn't mean that they will value you.
Right.
So the
Not
key
good.
here is searching for a man that knows how to love. If the man knows how to love, that is the main thing. That is the most important thing, that a man knows how to love. And when we say that, remember, we're not talking, if you have listened to previous sessions, it is not a man knowing how to romance you, a man knowing how to date you. And when I say date, I mean just to take you out. A man knowing how to dress well. We're not talking that. We are talking about a man understanding that love is sacrifice, and that man being willing to risk and to give up his life for you. That is love. Too many times men get into relationship for what they can get. And we do it not knowing that we're doing it. You look pretty. That is something that does something for me, because I feel good when you look pretty. Or you have a great behind. Or I love your lips. Or I love your eyes. All these things are things that we like to see. So because of that, we love you. No. That is love, but that is not the love that a man needs for a long-lasting marriage and for a marriage to work.
Right.
It's a different type of love. You need sacrifice.
Right. So I think the last thing I want to add, and then I'll, so I want to see how I'm going on. You said something very important, that the marriage and the relationship should not be built on sex. I think that's an important point. The sex, like we said earlier, is to procreate, is to provide intimacy and then of course pleasure. So I would say that it definitely enriches a marriage. It definitely supplements, but it should not be built, because life changes, the body grows old, and sex is not something firm to build it on. Therefore, if you're providing it before that marriage or relationship, it's risky when you do that. It's risky when you do that. So, so we're not saying that it's not, like I said, I want to be clear. It definitely enriches the marriage and relationship. So supplements it, but it's not the thing. It's not the fuel. It shouldn't be the fuel or the driving force that makes it to stand.
I will want to go out on a limb and probably say that, and I'm really trying to go out on a limb when I give this percentage, to say that probably 95% of the problems we have in the world is based on sex outside of marriage. A mixture of sex outside of marriage and lack of husbands and good husbands. You see? And I'm going on a limb. If I'm being honest, I would say maybe more 75%, because we have a lot of fatherless kids. If you go to the prison, you will find fatherless kids. They grow up without a father. And the father can be at home and not at home. Still absent. He can be a drunkard.
Presently absent.
Yeah. How say it again? He's presently absent?
Presently absent.
Yeah. And so I want to say that you're not, you said that the person is taking a risk if they give their body to a man before they marry them, or decide to permanently live with them, because again, some people, they don't believe in marriage. So, but you can still go through the same process, and when you decide to live together, then it will have been that you have spent all this time testing this man before deciding to live with him. So I would like to even take that statement even further and say you're not only taking a risk, but you are actually working against your own self. You are destroying yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that from the top of my head. The manufacturer tells us clearly that whenever we have sex to someone that we are not married to, we are working against our own body. We are destroying our own body.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I can't use proper words, so I'm going to use the word that the manufacturer uses. He says when you have sex and you're not married, you sin against your own body. All the other
Mm-hmm.
things you can do, they're outside of your body. But
Mm-hmm.
when you
Mm-hmm.
live this way, you sin against your own body. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's a problem when you just jump and open your legs
Mm-hmm.
and allow a man in there that you
Mm-hmm.
just met last night,
Mm-hmm.
and then you
Mm-hmm.
expect to have a long-lasting relationship with him, and you have not tested this dude.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
the advice uh, for today, do not give your body to this man. Do not give your part to him. You do not need to
Mm-hmm.
experience that. He doesn't have to be a good kisser to be a
Mm-hmm.
good husband.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have to test your only thing that you have, your private part that you don't have 10 of them. He doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
test that before he says, I do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that is the advice, because women getting into sexual relationships before they become serious about a person
Mm-hmm.
damages their own
Mm-hmm.
lives. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
warning. If you want to prepare for marriage, I'm encouraging you. You don't have to listen, it's your body and you can do what you want with it.
Of course.
But I'm encouraging you,
Mm-hmm.
abstain from intercourse and do testing instead.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that because I think also, there's this I've seen it in our culture a lot where a young lady is pressured into sex because the guy puts her in a position to say, prove your love to me by by um by having sex with me. And if you don't, then you don't really love me, which is a huge form of manipulation because um that's just a huge form of manipulation right there. And
Yeah,
I always and I think I've said this in one of our sessions, and I said this many times, ladies, if a man um wants to sleep with you, wants you to cook for him, clean, provide, and have your kids, but he doesn't want to get married to you, then he really doesn't value you as a woman.
yeah,
If you are not worthy enough to be his wife, but you're worthy enough for all these other things, that is to me a huge contradiction of him saying he loves you and you are worth what he's claiming that you're worth. So you know
yeah,
um it's important to think about these things, that you are more than your body. Whenever I get the opportunity to speak to young people, and especially if it's a mixed gender in the room, I say it like this to young lady. I said, don't become barbershop talk, because
yeah,
in our culture, well, again, I'm just saying here, I can't speak for the whole world, but in the barber shop, there's all these discussions, and a lot of them is around the girl from the neighborhood who many people have slept with already.
yeah,
My heart is grieved because that's what she's been reduced to, unfortunately. So I want you to know that, I want to say this very, with all sincerity, you are worth more. You have a mind, you have your emotions, you have so much more to offer. So just have that in mind. I want to encourage you by saying that today, as in this session, right?
yeah,
Um, and then the last thing I'll say, I'll pass it to you. Um, I found out that you spoke about this, and you used the word sin against our own body, and I want to kind of make that more practical because I think that could fly over our heads many times. Um,
hmm,
when a manufacturer gives commands like these and instructions, there's protection in it. There's protection in these types of verses and sayings, because when they tell you put your seatbelt on the highway, it's an instruction with a intention to protect you, with a
yeah,
in with a intention to preserve your life. And so again, when I speak to people, especially young people, and I encourage them to keep themselves pure, I said, when you're going around from person to person, sleeping around, you're doing a Velcro effect on your soul. And I said, what a Velcro effect is, when you put the Velcro together, it's just tearing apart. And I said, every time we are joining with someone in sex, it's more than a physical joining taking place. And I don't think a lot of people don't understand that dimension of sex, that you're connecting with somebody more than physically. Even if you don't say you love that person, there is a much deeper level of connection than physical, than we know. And when that time is over, you have left a part of you and you're carrying a part of that person. And so you imagine the world glories in the people glory in their body count, as they call it in this generation. Their body count is going up. I've slept with 15, 20 people, and it seems to be something to celebrate, but you don't understand the damage that you have done to yourself. I don't think you see the damage that you have done. So I want to encourage you with that as well, that there's a practical aspect when they said every other sin is outside, but this sin is against your body. That's some of the things that we're talking about. So yeah.
Well, I'd like to end
Go ahead.
just by saying two things here. To continue off a statement you made, where a young man might today will tell a young lady, well, you don't love me if you don't sleep with me.
Right.
And I'm very glad you brought that up, because mommy, you are not required to love him. That's not your responsibility in a marriage. So don't let any young man gaslight you and tell you that. The young man that wants to get in your pants to prove that you love him, chase him from around you.
Yeah, quickly.
That is no proof that you love him. And you don't need to love him, because not even the manufacturer requires for you to love him. The person that should be walking in love and know how to love is the male, is the husband. So from the time he's telling you this, he has no clue what is his responsibility in a relationship. Run in the other direction. Okay? You don't have to prove to anybody you love them. On the contrary, this young man should be practicing on you, because he's allowed to give you your greatest need without doing anything that is wrong, without doing anything that is hurting you or hurting himself. He can practice to sacrifice himself. He can practice to pay the bill at the restaurant. He can practice to deny himself and make sure that you are always are taken care of. And if he can't do it in dating, why will he do it when you're married? But lastly, on this topic, this is for who can hear it. If you have to have sex, you have all right within your own right. You have dominion to go ahead and have sex. This is for who has an ear and want to hear.
Yes.
Do not pay for the job before it is done. That is what I would like to leave with you all. Do not pay for the job before it is done. When the job is done, is when you have said, I do. Anything before that, you're paying for the job before it is done. And so I would like to end with that.
Yeah, I think I want to get one statement for you guys today on this topic. Sex is supposed to be sacred, not safe.
Yeah.
Sex is supposed to be sacred, not safe. And the advice that we've given in the sessions is promoting and tending to sacred sex, where it's preserved within commitment, within marriage, within loyalty, within fidelity, versus just safe. So we definitely hope this has been helpful and encouraging to you. I think it has been very practical, and keep looking out for the next one as we continue to talk furthermore about the practicality in preparation, specifically for the female. And Remember, woman, you are valuable. All right, you are worthy.
That's right.
Much more than your body. And this has been Marriage Matters. Until next time, we'll get with you guys with some more advice on dating and marriage. Until next time, blessings. See you later.
Take care.